guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television here live nightly on my page. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off this edition of the Sports Web? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense here live on my Facebook page, live on YouTube, and of course on Twitter. Did you guys miss me? I missed you. I definitely missed you. In case you didn't know where I was, I didn't take a sabbatical. No, I didn't do that. I wish that was what it was all about. I wish I took a vacation in the Bahamas or somewhere tropical. No, definitely didn't do that. I actually had COVID. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am not lying to you. I had it. I got it. And I tell you right now, it's no picnic. Nothing about this is a picnic at all. No matter what anybody tells you, no matter what anybody says, it wasn't a picnic. I mean, honestly. And it just gives you perspective. It just offers you that perspective of what you love to do. This is what you love to do. No matter if you're on a platform or not, this is what you love to do. Fevers, chills, not able to sleep at night. But I tell you right now, I was chopping at the bit, chopping at it to get back on this mic and talk with you about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, about the NFL draft. Which, by the way, in case a lot of people have forgotten, which it seems like there's been some Bucs fans out there that have, because the Bucs aren't picking top 5. No, they're not picking top 10. They're not picking top 15. No, they're picking 32. You know why? Because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still Super Bowl champions. They're world champions. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons right there, in case I forgot how to do it. And I definitely want to talk with you. But I'm telling you, it wasn't a picnic. That COVID stuff, no matter what anybody says, it isn't a picnic at all. So it's great to be with you guys here. We'll definitely talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll talk about the NFL draft, which is just 3 days away from Cleveland. And it feels like we're getting back to normalcy, says the person who just got over it. You know why? Because you're going to hear this. And it's not because somebody's trolling me, which, by the way, I see Mr. Ben Cornett. Hello, Mr. Ben Cornett. I'll get to you in a moment. Thanks a lot for tuning in to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, live here on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. But you're going to hear that in just a couple days. And they're going to be booing Roger Goodell. And how many people don't want to hear that sound? And I get it. We heard it last year, but it was kind of different, right? We were all locked in our homes. It wasn't the same thing. There was nothing same about it. Nothing at all. But now Roger Goodell is cleared. You're going to actually have NFL draft prospects there. It's all about quarterbacks. Imagine that. It starts off with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It goes to the New York Jets, and then, who's going to be the third pick overall? So it's Mock Draft Monday. I'm going to get into it a little bit. I'm going to give you my mock draft. You can mock me. You can call up and give me your mock draft. You don't necessarily have to talk about just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but we can. That's what we do here on this show. But it's great to be back. I can't say it enough. I mean, this is genuine. I mean, honestly. Last week I thought I was going to die, and here I am on Monday night talking with you about sports. So I tell you what, let's go ahead, get out to some of these comments. Great intro. Thank you very much, Mr. Pat Searcy. What's up, Peter Blake, says Javon. Let's go out to Ben. I kind of missed you. I kind of missed you. I missed all you guys. I did. I'm going to fire the cannons for you guys. Please don't give me this tonight. Because there's so much to talk about. So much that I feel like I missed when I was out. I mean, how about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They continue this unbelievable offseason. So we could talk about that. Who do you see them going after at 32? Who do you want to see them go after? Do you care? Is it a care to you? Are you chopping at the bit? Are you staying up until 11:30, maybe possibly midnight? Most likely I'm going to. Now, I may be on here. I may come on here and talk about it. Expound a little bit, if you will, to who the Bucs are going to pick or who the Bucs do pick. I'll give you my opinion tonight. I don't know if I go to Vegas with it because I can't tell you who the Bucs are going to pick at 32. But isn't it nice to know that we're not centered on that as Buccaneer fans? Like, fans are not centered on it. Like, you're saying, okay, you're at number 5. This is the guy you got to take. You got to take him because you have a need. No, you don't. You don't have a need on this team, do you? We shall find out on Thursday night. Where they go. Could they go running back? We'll get into it a little bit, maybe. Possibly an offensive tackle? Isn't that a possibility? I guess it is, right? I mean, you never go wrong with drafting an interior lineman. You go with an offensive lineman, you go with a defensive lineman, you never go wrong. How about an outside rusher? Where do you want to go if you're a Bucs fan? Where do you want to go tonight? Your favorite team is on the clock. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. And I mean it. I'm happy to talk to you tonight. I am. I mean, it's like a breath of fresh air. Because we're here together. And we're going to get a chance to talk sports. We'll go around the NFL a little bit. Like I said, I'll give you my mock draft. Some Bucs news that we'll cover that just happened a couple hours ago. Made officially by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Get your thoughts on that. Like I said, some Bucs news that I missed out on. And then whatever else you want to discuss. And ask and you shall receive. Let's go ahead and start it out. Of course, also, we'll get out to Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment in just a little bit. Let's go out to Ben Cornett from Las Vegas. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Only 3 days away from the NFL draft. Welcome, my friend.
Welcome, Peter. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing good. It's nice to be here in the air chair instead of in my bed sweating. I'm seriously, it's nice to not have a fever. It's nice not to have to go through something like I went through the last couple weeks. What's on your mind, boss?
Well, first of all, Peter, I'm glad you feel a lot better. I mean, and as much as we like to joke, COVID is no joke.
Nope.
So, for people that say it still is, well, unless you've had it, it's not, don't talk. That's
Exactly. So, I agree with you on that. Okay. I agree. I'm one of those people that goes that said, we'll see what happens. And then, it just goes and it goes and it goes. And It starts to have that, it starts to play a trick on your mind. Like, man, am I ever going to be healthy again? Am I ever going to be able to get in front of a mic and talk to a great Ben Cornett? Am I going to ever be able to talk to all these webheads out there? Because no matter what happens, the webheads are here. The evolution doesn't stop because it's right here. It's for you fans. So what I want to know is, getting off of COVID, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much for your prayers. What are you thinking here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3 days away in Cleveland? Who are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who are they gonna take, and who do you want them to take?
Who are they gonna take?
Yes.
Whew. I got a feeling we're thinking about defense.
Yeah, defense. So what are we thinking defensively here?
Well, maybe on the defensive line, because you got to, let's face facts, Sue and JPP are a little older.
Mm-hmm.
Shaq, he's still young, but, eventually you're going to have to replace two of these guys.
Right.
So I think we just have too much depth at running back. I know a lot of people think it's going to be running back. I just think we have too much depth there. I don't think we have enough depth on the defensive line. So, maybe that's what I want to see more than what the Bucs want to do. It seems like the Bucs want to go offense,
right,
and best player available. Now, I'll throw one here for you that I think we should do as well.
Okay,
why not trade down?
I mean, why not? Why not trade down? I mean, it's not like, again, you have a big time need. You don't have a big time need because you signed all your 22 starters. So why not trade down, accumulate picks, if you will, Leo word. I think accumulate is a Leo word. We'll accept it here on the sports web. Get some more picks, and then you feel, those contracts. And again, big news today. Officially, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have announced that they have picked up the 5th-year option on Vita Vea. So, look, for me, I know that Ndamukong Suh is getting up there in age, although they re-signed a Steve McClendon, they re-signed a Nacho. So is that a possibility to go with the defensive tackle? I have no problem if you're trading out and you're getting a couple picks and you're going to trade for Christian Barmore, who I like out of Alabama, and I don't think he can go wrong with the Alabama Hoss. I don't. Uncle Word. I don't think you can go wrong with that. I think he's highly productive defensive tackle that would work, and he doesn't necessarily have to come in right away and be a guy that you're depending on because you have all these re-signings by getting a Sue, by having a Vea, by having a Nacho and a McClendon, but you can go in that direction. So why not trade down? Is that what you think they do? You think they trade down, or do they sit there at 32? Or are you in the mindset of, look, if they have an opportunity to get a player that makes a difference, even though they don't necessarily have a need here, Ben, do you trade up into the 20s if some player like, I don't know, maybe a DeAndre Smith, I'm just throwing out there as a wide receiver at Alabama, measures at 166 pounds, but because you don't have an Antonio Brown signed, maybe you get an opportunity to get a player. Are you okay with that?
Well, I mean, I'm okay. I don't think it's necessary for wide receiver, Peter. I mean, we got to see what Tyler Johnson and, especially Tyler Johnson, man. This guy's got talent, dude.
Sure.
I mean, I would love for him to eventually be a starter in this, and I think he can. We just need to see more of him. But because we have so much firepower on offense, and he's a rookie, but he's going to get some more playing time. And look what he did last year. Look at that catch in Green Bay that changed the game. That
the catch with the Saints. I think that's what you're talking about. The catch with the Saints, and then drawing the pass interference versus the Packers. You're exactly right. There's untapped potential there with the Johnson, and you're not sure necessarily how that situation with an Antonio Brown is necessarily going to work out. So, like I said, I think everything is on the table, and I think that's the greatest thing about this draft if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. Now, and I'm going to run here in just a little bit. You can always call back if you want to, Ben, but give me your thoughts here on how you're feeling about the rest of this draft here, especially starting at the top here with Jacksonville. You have the Jets, the 49ers. I mean, what are you thinking here?
Well, I mean, we all know that Trevor Lawrence is already the pick for Jacksonville. That's been determined since he came out of college. The Niners, it's interesting. Mac Jones seems like the obvious guy. I might throw a curveball here.
Okay.
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. That's been talked about.
I think he could end up being the guy.
Okay.
I got a weird feeling. And one more thing, real quick.
Yes.
What do you think of Julio Jones? There's talk today at the Falcons or listening to trade talks.
Well, I think it's interesting, but, for me, if I'm the Falcons, if you're the Falcons right now, why aren't you listening to every trade offer for Jones? He's still productive. I mean, what you hear is a second or third round pick. Look, I give up a second round pick if I'm the New England Patriots for Julio Jones, and I think there's a lot of Bucs fans out there that would be happy with that. But you look at the Falcons right now and the state of what they are. What are the Falcons? What are they? Matt Ryan up there in age, big time contract the next couple years. I would not be surprised if they draft a quarterback. We'll get to that mock draft here in a moment. My mock draft, of course. But, to me, I think it's very interesting. I think why not? For me, I think the Falcons are in a rebuild mode, in my opinion.
Great.
I think they're a rebuilding team. Right. So why not? Listen.
I agree. Listen, take a chance.
Yeah.
Rebuild. Stock up.
Exactly. Good.
Right. Well, Peter, I will let you go, man. It's good to hear from you again.
Absolutely.
I will watch you, and if I have any more questions, I'll call back later.
Sounds good, Ben. Appreciate the call. Definitely call back later on. Let me go ahead and fire those pieces for him. And we're off and running. I mean, isn't this fun? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. We'll go out to the comments, and then I'll get out to my guest, Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. I'm going to go through my mock. I want him to give me his mock, or mock me, if you will. And I definitely want to hear from you tonight. Only 3 days away from NFL draft time in Cleveland. Who do you want to see the Bucs take? Who do you want to see your favorite team take? And what do you think about the recent Bucs moves? Because I haven't gotten a chance to talk about it. Of course, Vita Vea today picked up the fifth-year option. We'll get into that in just a little bit more. Welcome back, says Fred. Again, Ben, all seriousness, I'm glad you're feeling better. You're 100% right. COVID is no joke. It is not. Charles Richardson, welcome back, Uncensored and Uncom Peter. Thank you very much. Appreciate you there, Charles. Javon Outlaw, Christian Barmore, number 32. Wonder what show you've been watching. Maybe mine. Frank Johnson says, what's up, Peter? What's going on? Mitch says, followage. Absolutely. What if the 49ers take Pitts and trade back to get Jones? I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen, Christopher. And I'll tell you why. Because, look, you don't trade up to the number 3 spot if you don't know who you're going to take. And I feel like the 49ers, they already know who they're going to take, right? They're going to take a quarterback. They're not going to take Pitts. A lot of people are in love with Pitts. And Kyle Pitts from Florida, may be the single-handedly best player in this draft, period. He's a mismatch nightmare, tight end, has all the measurables, and he's listed as a tight end, but he plays like a wide receiver. So I don't see that happening. I think anything is possible on draft night. I just don't see that. They're going to take a quarterback, and I'm going to tell you who in just a moment. Roger Shue there, Mr. Troll. I'm going to go ahead and give you a troll right there. Welcome back. Appreciate you. There you go. Taylor Allen says anyone they pick at this point just adds more icing to the cake. I agree. I absolutely agree. You can't go wrong at this point if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, can you? I mean, what player do you not want to see on this team at 32? 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. 0391. Let me go back out to Christopher Cole. Wonder if we got DB at any point in this draft. I tell you what, let's go out to one of my old buddies here. Let's go out to Todd. Todd, welcome to the Evolution here on my page on YouTube and, of course, on Twitter. What do you have to say, my friend?
How you doing, Peter? I hope you're a lot better, and I'm glad to see you back.
I'm great, man. I'm glad I'm in the air chair here. I'm talking with one of my buddies here. I talked to Ben Cornett. Now I'm talking to Todd. Todd, what do you think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Who should they select on Thursday night at 32? Who would you like to see them select? And what do you think about the overall draft, my friend?
Well, the overall draft, I think, is loaded with really good wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still a little upset that we have not signed Antonio Brown.
Mm.
So I've been looking at wide receivers and also been looking at quarterbacks.
Right.
I like the kid from Florida.
Everybody likes him, Kyle Trask. And I don't know if it's a Gator thing, if it's a Gator fan. I get it. People want to see them draft a quarterback. I think everything is out there on the table. And look, about a month and a half ago, I wouldn't have said that about a Trask. I wouldn't have said it. But the more I think about it, you sign a Ryan Griffin. I get it. You got Tom Brady, but Ryan Griffin is your backup. Is that the plan going forward? Or are you going to take advantage of this and go with the Trask? Or are you going to take advantage of this and go with possibly a player that drops there in the second or the third round, possibly?
Well, he's an intelligent kid.
Mm-hmm.
good character. I think he could come in there and learn a lot from Tom Brady in the next 2 years. And when Brady leaves, he could take over this team. And, he had Tony and he had Pitts to throw to. So
sure.
The kids, I think, can be good with time and experience, and then the other guy I like in the draft is the one you mentioned, Barmore.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is a beast, and he could come in, and if one of our guys is out or if somebody gets hurt, I think this kid could step right in and be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I mean, look, he's highly productive defensive tackle out of Alabama. You're coached under Nick Saban. Again, 8.5 sacks. You don't necessarily have to come in here, Todd, right away and be the starting defensive tackle. That's the attraction to that pick. I like it. A lot of people say, well, it's a weak area. Okay, well, you could develop that position here in the next couple years with Sue getting up there in age. McClendon's only a 1-year contract. You're not sure about Nacho. So I have no problem going with that because you're not going to have to depend on the kid from Alabama to come in and be your starter right away. It's a luxury position.
It is. And just to have some depth, have a young guy with some depth. Like you say, you don't have to come in and start right away. He can learn from the veterans.
Sure.
And I think that would be a great pick. I like Tony, the wide receiver from Florida, also. And I'm not a Gator fan by any stretch. I'm a Florida State fan, but I do like this kid Tony too. He's a little. He reminds me a little bit of Antonio Brown,
the wide receiver. Yeah, highly explosive wide receiver, and you could see him. I don't know if you see him lasting 32. I don't know if you're going to see that. I think the New Orleans Saints, that could be a prime subject there of where they could get him because they need an extra wide receiver. And that would be frightful, Todd, because you talk about Tony and his speed with the Gators. He has that ability to, when you get out into space, he can make things happen. And that definitely would be hard on that Bucs defense. And of course, you're looking at Mr. Slant there with Michael Thomas. Tony would definitely be an upgrade over that other side. So that's why you have to watch the draft, because it's not just about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's about the Saints. It's about the Panthers. It's about the Falcons. And of course, all those teams are trying to get better in some degree. And it starts out in that first round and it goes on for the next couple days. What else, Todd?
Well, you know what, Peter? This is our division to lose because the Falcons they're not there. Defensively, they're just not there.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina is kind of in a rebuilding mode.
Don't know what Carolina is. You got Sam Darnold, who's 23 years old, who was a part of a dumpster fire with the New York Jets. So you get him to go with the Carolina Panthers. You got some weapons there, but you're not really sure. And then you're trying to rebuild a defense. So, Carolina Panthers, to me, are down. They're rebuilding. They have a new quarterback. You're not sure what the impact of that is going to be. The Atlanta Falcons, I don't know what they are besides, Matt Ryan with a new coach. New coach, to me, that leads me to believe a quarterback, and maybe I'm foreshadowing, but I'll leave that alone for right now. And then you have the Saints who, lost a Hall of Fame quarterback. You have Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, and they've had their fair share of losses. So right now, you have to feel good if you're a Bucs fan in that NFC South. Of course, you're feeling good any way it goes, but especially coming into this year, because those teams right now, theoretically, are all down.
Well, listen, we got to give kudos to Jacqueline Davidson and Mike Greenberg.
I agree. And I don't know
they are the ones that's doing all this cap stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jason Light as well. I'm not leaving out Jason Light.
Sure.
They all did a fabulous job of getting all of our players back. And I hope Antonio Brown, I hope he comes back. But if not, then we need to find a receiver to take his place or give Tyler Johnson more time, more experience, because I think that kid could be something special. Need to play him a little bit more. Him and Scotty Miller.
I definitely think you could see that happening, and we'll see if the Bucs address that position of wide receiver. Of course, all eyes are going to be on Thursday night, and it may be before then where they re-sign an Antonio Brown, but we'll see what happens. If they don't, then that's a possibility they go into wide receiving position. Todd, anything else here, bud?
One quick question to you,
yes, sir.
Peter.
Yes, sir.
About Antonio Brown.
Yes.
If we do not sign him by Thursday night when the draft starts, he will not be back in a Bucs uniform. That's what I think.
I'm not ready to say that yet. Of course, there was a story out that I missed about a week and a half ago where the case off the field was settled. Some people were kind of saying, now this may lead to a re-signing. We'll see what happens, because we heard this about a month ago that they were kind of, a little bit distant in their contract negotiations. How distant they are, we'll see. But I think the Bucs, of course, they have all the cards. If they don't want an Antonio Brown and more teams that are looking at younger wide receivers, that means that basically Antonio Brown is left out in the cold unless there is a big wide receiving injury. Besides that, I think the Bucs hold all the cards. So, yeah, if they don't re-sign him and then they draft a wide receiver, pretty much it's done. Pretty much to me, if the Bucs go with a young wide receiver on Thursday night or Friday or on Saturday, then I don't see them re-signing Antonio Brown. Good stuff there. Anything else, Todd?
That's it, Peter. I agree with you 100%.
All right.
I'm glad to see you back, brother.
It's good to be back, my friend. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you. And of course, definitely use that second phone call. I'm going to go ahead and read these comments, and then I'll get off to Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. I know he has lots of things to talk about tonight with you. Again, open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. All right, let's go out to Christopher again. I wonder if we go DB at any point in this draft. Certainly a possibility. Cowboys are drooling over Kyle Pitts, so I can see them grabbing Kyle if he's available when they pick. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Definitely want to get into that. I don't know what Jerry Jones. Hopefully Jerry Jones isn't making that pick. Honestly. If Pitts is your pick and you're the Cowboys, and I get it, Pitts could be the most talented player in this draft. The Cowboys have so many needs defensively. Hello? To me, that's a Jerry Jones move trying to get a Johnny Manziel. That's what that is. And somebody needs to take the wheel and say, Jerry, no way. No way, my friend. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Mitch says O.J. Howard can be our Kyle Pitts if he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, of course, Mitch, always a big time if. Steven says, Peter H. Blake, what's going on? What's going on with you? Ron says, Mr. Peter Blake. Joey says, no way we draft Barmore. He's a liability in the run game. Some people would say he is. I'd like to see if O.J. Howard can actually stay healthy for a season. It would be interesting if he could. I want to trade down for more real estate. I think there's a lot of people who want to do that. Blake Anthony says, you demand, Pete. I appreciate you, Blake. Thanks a lot. Peter, missed you, bro. Missed you too. Missed all you guys. Let me fire those. Let's go out to Blake Anthony here. We saw Antonio Brown at UFC 261, and what I saw scares me. It doesn't have to do with his play. He wasn't around the Bucs. A lot of people looked at that situation. They saw Blaine Gabbert. You saw Bucs all around each other, but you didn't see Antonio Brown around the Bucs. So let's go out to our special guest tonight here, Mr. Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television, the Sports Web, live here on my page on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And I got to start out with it, man. We're 3 days away from the NFL draft. What do you make of it? It's all about quarterbacks, right? Welcome to the show.
Well, first thing I want to make about it is, Pete, I'm really happy that you're back. You look healthy. The only thing that you need to fix really is that collar on your shirt. It's a mess, my friend. It's an absolute mess. But I got plenty to talk about tonight. We can start off with the draft. I definitely want to segue into hockey and the Tampa Bay Lightning and the NHL as a whole, because there was a big situation, a big deal that was made today that's going to affect a lot of people's viewing habits over the next 7 years. We'll get into that real quick. But, Pete, I have to tell you, I really like the fact that the Bucs could, and I know you guys are talking about backup quarterback or third-string quarterback for that matter. Why wouldn't you go with Davis Mills or a Kellen Mond? Those two guys are rising up the charts for a round 2 draft pick. Kyle Trask might be out there, but from what I've been reading, Davis Mills and Kellen Mond, they could be there, where the Bucs could trade back, pick up a little bit more capital, and get that future quarterback that they're looking for to sit back behind, obviously, the GOAT, Tom Brady, and pick up some learning experience, and then to come in 2 years down the road and be ready to go.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about Davis Mills. He seemed to be, flying up the draft boards. I don't necessarily think he's doing that. I think he's always been there. It's just now the insiders, the talking heads at NFL Network, ESPN are starting to get a hold of it. But you've heard nothing but good things. I hear even the Chicago Bears, as crazy as it sounds, midway because they're looking at a quarterback. They could be interested in him. Of course, I know the Bucs have been talking or Zooming with Mon from Texas A&M, I believe. But going back to that quarterback situation, I got to get on this because we kind of missed this, and I wanted to get your thoughts. And, of course, It starts with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Lawrence being the number 1 overall selection. I think it's a foregone conclusion. Look, there's no reason why you get a Urban Meyer as your coach. The reason why is because you get a Trevor Lawrence. He's a generational talent. Every year he's improved with completion percentage. His touchdowns have been there. He's a proven winner. But did you have a problem with Trevor Lawrence's father saying these things? His son isn't a win at super at any cost type of guy. His high school coach says he could walk away from football at any time. Lawrence says it's unhealthy to always think you have to do better. And then, of course, Lawrence kind of, defends himself, kind of walks back a little bit to Sports Illustrated and says, look, there's more than playing football. It's hard to explain that because I want people to know that I'm passionate about what I do. It's really important to me, but I don't have this huge chip on my shoulder that everyone's out there to get me, and I'm trying to prove everybody wrong. I just don't have that. I can't manufacture that. I don't want to. Once again, he goes on to say that he loves football and everything else, but people kind of paying attention to those comments, does that give you some type of, do you feel like you should have a red flag if you're a Jaguar fan, or even if you're the Jaguars saying, you know what, I'm not going to draft this kid because he has long hair and he's listening to his headphones and
killing me with that. You're killing me with the long hair. Come on, Pete.
I'll say that, and it's an image thing. We know all about this, that they're looking.
It's interesting, but the Jaguars are going to run right up to the podium and draft this guy. Bam, bam, it's over. He started 90 games going back to high school. He's got everything that you want in a quarterback, and the only little flaw that the guy has is when he misses high, and that could be fixed with motion and motor skills and a little bit of training. He's the number 1 draft pick for a reason. He's been basically groomed for the last 3, 4, 8 years of his life. He's the number 1. I don't care about this little lip service that his dad's saying, hey, just get up there and draft him. Then you got Zach Wilson. And then I don't understand this love affair with Trey Lance. The guy basically didn't even play last year. And yes, were his stats fantastic and when he threw for 17 touchdowns and 0 interceptions? I get that. But he's now moving up over Fields from Ohio State, and I don't really understand that. I mean, everybody's got to fit. I mean, look at Mac Jones, Pete. Mac Jones at one point wasn't even going to get out of the first round, and now he's scheduled or set up to be picked 3rd unless Briscoe's throwing a smokescreen, and I don't think Briscoe's throwing a smokescreen because he sort of fits in Shanahan's mold. But doesn't Trey Lance fit a little bit better than Mac Jones because of the fact that he can't really move out of the pocket very much, and Shanahan likes a guy that moves. He's had guys that can move, and that's the way the game is moving a little bit. You see what I'm saying here?
To that point with Jones, though, we're on with Travis Bailey of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Of course,
I take Jones. I'll tell you that much because I know. Well, the other thing with Jones, Pete, and I didn't mean to interrupt you real quick, but you got to look at the talent that guy's had. He's got the best offensive line. He's got the best coach. He's obviously got, other than maybe the guys from LSU, the best offensive weapons in college football. So, I mean, the guy is set up to win. How is that going to translate to the pros? We shall see starting on Thursday night in the draft. exactly how this thing breaks out. In regard to the Bucs, though, I can see them going for defensive line just to shore that up a little bit, if they stay at 32. But I don't think they're going to stay at 32, Pete. I think they're going to drop back, grab a couple more picks, and shore up this team and lock it up. This draft is deep in corner. This draft is deep in wide receiver, so you might be able to get that wide receiver to replace Antonio Brown. Not really to replace him, but somewhere down the road where you'll see Scotty Miller playing a bigger role this year. In number 18, I forget his name, but he made some huge catches last year in the playoffs. Huge catches.
Yeah, Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota, who's a 5th-round pick. Again, we're on with Travis Feely of Rocket Sports Entertainment.
What was that? He like a 3rd and 14, and Brady throws him a sideline pass down pretty much at his knees and at the sideline, and he makes a beautiful catch to keep a drive alive. That went in for a touchdown. Those were big catches that guy made, and that's just one specific. We saw it last year. If the kid steps up, there's really no need for Antonio Brown and his potential problems. But I think this team is the team where Antonio Brown fits the best because of obviously the veteran leadership and how Brady can handle that guy.
And I do too. And I think the Bucs have all the cards. They hold all the cards at this point because you look at it, Travis, the longer Brown waits for a team to sign him, the longer, or there's a more of a possibility there for a team to get a younger player in this draft. And look, we know the last couple of years here, especially this year, wide receiving is fat. So you can get a younger wide receiver that doesn't necessarily have those problems off the field. We don't even know, what the NFL is going to do. Even though Brown settled out, I still think he will end up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers unless they decide, to go in that position at 32 or in the 2nd round. Going back to Mac Jones, to me, this is a foregone conclusion. And I'll tell you right now, let me go ahead and give you my mock really quick, and then we can go back and forth on this. Number 1, Jacksonville takes Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson. That's a foregone conclusion. Generational talent. I have no questions about his ability. Urban Meyer gets his guy. The New York Jets go with...
Hey, Pete, you know who has a question about that?
It's
Chris Sims. He's actually got Zach Wilson ranked higher than Trevor Lawrence, and he thinks the Jags should take Wilson.
It's ridiculous. It's completely
also he's got just spacing out right now. The kid from Ohio State dropping all the way to almost 32 to the Buccaneers.
Well,
it's crazy.
Yes.
But Chris Sims has been dead on balls with his suggestions and his predictions with the drafting on quarterbacks for the last 3 years. This guy's been a guru. And I was listening to Dilfer today. It's all about fit at this point, where a guy can come in once again like Lance and can sit behind a quality quarterback and be groomed, because the guy's not going to be able to play this year coming in. There's absolutely no way possible, especially being out for the whole season and being in that conference he's in. I mean, who's he playing? The Little Sisters of the Poor in that conference out there? And I know Carson Wentz has some good years. And I know Josh Allen's, played very well. But those guys are anomalies. When you got quarterbacks in the draft coming from these little Humpty Dumpty conferences, most of the time it doesn't translate to the NFL.
It really doesn't. It doesn't always translate to the NFL. In fact, it takes a couple years. But the reason why they drafted Trey Lance is because he's 6'4", 6'5". He has all the measurables. He can make the throws. But the wild card is, you're exactly right. The one game he played, he looked absolutely terrible. You go back to the year before, 17 touchdowns, and everybody likes the potential, but potential can be the most overly used word when it comes to the draft process.
He reminds me of Mitch Trubisky, Pete.
Well,
Reminds me of Mitch. I mean, the guy's got, 18 starts in his last 2 years. Mitch had 17 starts in his whole North Carolina career. I mean, and you see what happened with Mitch. Can't read a defense. Has problems at the line of scrimmage, checking off. These are big things that you have to take time to learn in the NFL. But when you got a guy like Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones, who's been there for multiple years, multiple starts, a Kellen Mond, they understand what it takes to be successful in the pros because they did it in college and they've been behind center all those snaps against quality teams.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And I think a lot of people are looking at that. You look at a Mitchell Trubisky, 1-year starter, 14 games, but because, the general manager liked him to take out his daughter, That's the reason why they drafted him. Again, potential, attitude, but you should have drafted a Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. That's neither here nor there. I don't want to dig into, that.
No, we've killed that horse, Pete.
Yes, yeah.
It.
So the Jets, to me, they take Zach Wilson. The comparison right now that I'm hearing, Aaron Rodgers. But you remember Rodgers, right? I mean, Rodgers supposed to be number 1 overall pick, and then he's not a number 1 overall pick. Wilson, 33 touchdowns, 3 interceptions at BYU. To me, he's going to a dumpster fire. The Jets are going to be improved because you don't have Adam Gase, but it's going to take a while. And the problem is with the Wilson, if you don't have necessarily a lot around him, even though he threw 3 interceptions, he does have the propensity, Leo word, to make some throws that you necessarily want to take back. You don't necessarily can do that in the National Football League. Going to the San Francisco 49ers, to me, Mac Jones is going to be the pick at number 3, and this is why. 77% completion percentage. He's the prototypical quarterback of Kyle Shanahan. I don't necessarily agree with the fact that you have to be a mobile quarterback in this offense. You don't. You look at a Kirk Cousins. You look right now at a Matt Ryan. That's the type of quarterback that people are going, well, why do you draft Jones? He's not athletic. Neither was Tom Brady. Neither was Matt Ryan. But at the end of the day, it's the quarterback that's going to make the best decisions, who's not going to throw interceptions. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, national champion at Alabama, and he can stay healthy more than Jimmy Garoppolo. That's why he's going to be the
the highest and the best accuracy of all the quarterbacks coming out this year. And whenever we have these drafts of these 5 quarterbacks, and granted, I don't think we've seen going in the top 10 picks. I don't think ever at this point where there's been 5, especially 4 possibly in the top 5 picks or 3 in the top 5. First 3 picks. I'm not sure if that's happened before, but you're going to have guys that are going to be busts, and you can see it. There's potential for bust-worthy on at least 2 of these 5 top quarterbacks. But I'll let you go on because I think you're going to go in a certain direction with number 4, and I think I got a debate for you on that one.
I'm not sure where to go with number 4 because you hear the report today with Julio Jones. They're listening to offers as they should because, like I said, coming in with the monologue, the Falcons, to me, are rebuilding. You have a quarterback that has an albatross of a contract here in the next couple years, and I think he's declined. Now, they may be able to get a couple years out of him. You have a new coach. To me, if you have a new coach, you usually go quarterback. I'm thinking Justin Fields or possibly Trey Lance, but I'm just going to keep it. I'm going to go safe here. No, I'm not. I'm actually not going to keep this safe. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots trading up here to number 4 to get Justin Fields, and I'm not really quite sure what the knock on Fields is. I'm trying to figure this out. The guy played through injury. I get it. He had somewhat of a down year, but he didn't play many games. I mean, in your opinion, what's the knock on Justin Fields? Is it because he is too athletic? And could you see the New England Patriots or another team like the Denver Broncos at number 4 going up and getting him because you think he's an eventual starter? Maybe not this year's starter, but from a couple years from now will be the eventual starter.
Well, I can't see Atlanta taking a quarterback here. I can see somebody moving up to 4. I'm not sure if it's going to be Denver at this point because I think if Denver stays at 9, they can get the quarterback, either Lance or Fields. I mean, Trent Dilfer came on today, and he was saying that the only reason, and this is my opinion, not Trent's. Trent says there's no reason why Fields should fall. There's no reason he isn't a top 10, if not top 5 quarterback in this draft. Mm-hmm. No reason for it. The only reason why I see him possibly dropping is because he's got the moniker of an Ohio State quarterback, and we all know what's been going on with Ohio State quarterbacks over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't think there's any comparison between a Dwayne Haskins. I think that's an unfair comparison. And I think it's also asinine. We're on with Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment to say, well, look, there's a quarterback that plays at Ohio State, so it's the same quarterback. No, Justin Fields, Dwayne Haskins, totally different quarterbacks, totally different skill set. So if the Atlanta Falcons stay there, and I think they could, I'll go with Kyle Pitts. To me, he could be the best player in this draft. Tight end, wide receiver out of Florida. You give Arthur Smith another weapon there at tight end. He's worked with tight ends with the Tennessee Titans. What do you think about this kid Pitts? Really, the sky's the limit. And of course, if you're a Bucs fan out there, it's going to be hard to defend a Julio Jones, of course, a Ridley, and of course, a Pitts, who is a mismatch nightmare, right?
I think if you're Atlanta, you have to trade the pick. I think you really have to go to Dallas and you have to say, okay, what do you want for picks? Granted, Dallas needs a ton of help in the secondary. They can go after Surtain. They can go after a number of guys to help out, not only in the cornerback position, but back in the safety position. And they just lost Lee for their linebacker. Granted, he had some age on him, but Lee just retired today. So will they stay at 10, or will they try to jump up to 4 with Pitts with Atlanta to get Pitts, a guy that obviously everybody knows that Jerry Jones covets? Will they make that jump? I mean, granted, they'll score 40 points a game, but are they going to be able to stop anybody? So be cognizant of that. And then if Pitts gets past Atlanta, I can't see him getting past either Cincinnati at 5 or Miami at 6. So he's not going to drop past 6. That's for damn sure. You can count it. You can book it here. Travis Bailey from Rocket Sports and Entertainment. You can
I definitely book that, and I'll give you a fire the cannons on that because, look, I think you're exactly right. I think Pitt's value and, again, what he can do and the mismatch nightmare, not only being a tight end, but to me, he's not a tight end. He's a wide receiver. The way he runs routes, he catches everything with the Gators. So to me, he goes number 4 there. I'm just going to go with that for right now. Number 5, the Cincinnati Bengals, to me, if they take a Pitts or they take a Chase, they're wrong. And I'll tell you why, because you have Joe Burrow, who is your franchise quarterback, who's got hurt last year. You need an offensive tackle. We've got to help our quarterback out. You go with Penei Sewell. There's been talk that they'd be interested in Chase because of the chemistry he has with the Burrow. I'm not drafting a 5th overall wide receiver. I don't care how good he is unless he's Calvin Johnson. You need an offensive tackle. Is that where the Bengals go, in your opinion, and is that where they should go at number?
No, that's definitely where they should go, because obviously with Burrow getting hurt last year, they have to shore that up. And we always talk about it. We're not breaking any big news right now or hot takes. Starts and stops, offensive line. You can't, in the defensive line, if you can't protect the quarterback, then you're not winning football games. And Cincinnati is rebuilding, so you start at the offensive line and you move forward. That takes you to Miami. Miami could possibly, they don't need an offensive lineman, so they might go after Jamar Chase and then shore up that wide receiving crew. That's not a bad move for Miami. It also gives another weapon. Why not give the kid some more weapons to bring on his maturity and help develop that Miami Dolphin offense? Absolutely.
I agree. All right, let me go out to the comments here. I want to read these. The Falcons really turned their pick into something interesting to watch. Capel, Julio on the trade block. Do you dare go after a quarterback? I certainly think it's a possibility, because not only do you have a new coach, but you could get a Justin Fields or Trey Lance if that's where they want to go. But the problem is, and Colin Cowherd mentioned this week, and I got an opportunity to watch a lot of him. Look, if you get somebody in the building that can do more than Matt Ryan, there's going to be fans out there. There's going to even be players in that locker room that's going to say, hey, wait a minute. This guy right now is spectacular. Why isn't he starting? Even though he doesn't give us the best chance to win, he's doing more than Matt Ryan. So at number 4 for you, is it the Falcons take a Pitts, or could they take a quarterback like a Justin Fields or Trey Lance?
Well, I'm looking at Matt Ryan's situation right here. It looks like Matt Ryan's they can't get out of his contract.
Right.
They're not going to be able to get out of his contract for 2 years. If they had the opportunity to trade him this offseason, this was the offseason to do it. Because the big problem is with these low picks, 1, 2, 3, 4, they don't come around very often. The Bears had the pick at 3 a couple of years ago. They moved up to 2. They're not even going to sniff that early pick. So, you're sort of stuck in a quandary right here, Pete, because let's say they do get Pitts and they, have a semi-decent year where they win 5 or 6 games. That's not going to give them that 4 pick or a shot at a quarterback. So sometimes you got to eat the chili when the chili is hot. So this year the chili's hot, so you might want to get that quarterback this year if you're the Falcons.
No, that's what I say too, but I think they go Kyle Pitts there. Of course, we talked about Cincinnati. Let's go to the Miami Dolphins. For me, if Kyle Pitts is not on the board, it's Jamar Chase. You've got to figure out if Tua Tagovailoa is the quarterback of the future. And I'm not sure if he is, but you got to give him every opportunity. Chase, to me, and here's the thing, he sat out 2020, but he's the most highly talented wide receiver in this draft. 2019, 84 catches, 1780, 20 touchdowns. Is that where you see the Miami Dolphins? And really, this is a coup for the Dolphins, who basically traded out, traded down, and now traded back up again. Chase is the best guy for Tua, right? Going forward?
100%. 100%. Or you take the other kid, from Alabama. But he knows, to me, it's a no-brainer for Miami. Take the kid, lock him up, lock him down. He's going to be your explosive offensive weapon for the next 5 to 6 years, at least, if not more.
Agree. All right. Here's where it gets a little bit shady, a little bit cloudy, in my opinion. This is where I think the New England Patriots will trade up with the Detroit Lions. And this is why you look at the Cam Newton situation. It's only a 1-year contract. Of course, he's not the future. You got to go up there and get a quarterback. To me, it's Justin Fields here at number 7. You get a kid, highly mobile, 4.4 speed, the future of the New England Patriots. You don't necessarily have to start him right away because you already have a Newton. You have Fields. Kind of the same type of quarterback. Fields, of course, better arm. Looks like he's got, better accuracy. Could you see the Patriots? Because it's been talked about. The Patriots are trying to get back into that top 10. In your opinion, could you see this more likely happening with the Patriots going up there with the Lions to trade up for Justin Fields?
Absolutely, because Detroit's in a full-blown, rebuild mode. So why wouldn't they shore up some extra picks? You're going to be able to get an offensive lineman at 15 and even, a defensive player, with that second pick that you pick up from New England. New England has to make this move if they want a quarterback this year. I think, like I was saying earlier, they're saying that, Lance might fall, but, you're going to have to get in front of Denver, because I think Denver's going to have to make a move and get rid, try to shore up that quarterback position, because they've been trying to do it for years now, ever since Peyton Manning's been gone. Reach, bust. They're going to move up there. They're going to get Lance or Justin Fields at the 9th pick. You're going to see that happen, because I don't think Carolina is taking a quarterback after they went after Sam Darnold, with the 8th spot. So no. you might see Carolina go after one of those top wide receivers at 8.
Well, here's where I go with the Panthers. Look, you just got a new quarterback in a Sam Darnold, which, by the way, what's your take on that? You 23-year-old Darnold from the Jets, complete dumpster fire, not necessarily everything around him. Is that an upgrade, in your opinion, over a Teddy Bridgewater, or is it going to take a couple years for the Panthers to figure that out with the Darnold?
I think the Panthers are trying to take a couple years to figure this out. And that's what one of your callers earlier said. This is the Buccaneers' division to lose, and I'm not breaking any new ground or hot taking on that either. You're looking at New Orleans. They got, they're going to start Jameis or Taysom Hill. Obviously, it's going to be Jameis in the grand scheme of things. So I wouldn't say that New Orleans is rebuilding, but they're going to take a step back in the division. Carolina's going to take a step back in the division because they're still searching for a quarterback. They got to figure out what Darnold's going to be able to do. And obviously, Atlanta's got a ton of problems defensively and some offensively, trying to figure out what Matt Ryan is. You tell me a game that Matt Ryan has won in the fourth quarter over the last 3 or 4 years, and I'd be seriously surprised. And you remember this year in that Buccaneer game against Atlanta, when the Bucs came back, Atlanta had a big lead, and Matt Ryan couldn't get a first down or a touchdown to save his life in the second half of that game, and the Bucs went on a roll after that to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I think, again, Matt Ryan has declined. You have a new guy there. Why not the opportunity to go after a quarterback? I think the Carolina Panthers are looking at it. They feel like Darnold's an upgrade over Teddy Bridgewater. So for my, purposes, I'm all about protecting the quarterback, and the way you do that is by getting the best tackle on the board, and that would be, to me, Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern to protect Darnold. You get the second best left tackle besides Penei Sewell, unless the Bengals decide to do something crazy, which, they are the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 9, the Denver Broncos, I think they go with Trey Lance. I mean, Drew Lock is not the guy there. He's clearly shown he's not the guy. Less than 60% completion percentage. That, John Elway has to be frothing at the mouth to get a young prospect. I get it. You have a Vic Fangio, but to me, Trey Lance, you look at that division overall, Patrick Mahomes, a Derek Carr, of course, a Justin Herbert. What do all those quarterbacks have in common? They're all young prospects. To me, Drew Lock doesn't fit Trey Lance to me would be the pick if he's there at 9, and I think he could be. What do you say?
Well, you might see Denver pulling back too. You might see them move back because they do need defensive help. They could use some secondary help too. There's 3 top flight, cornerbacks in this draft right here. When you brought up the names that they're going up against obviously Patrick Mahomes, Herbert, and Carr. You're going to need lockdown corners. You're going to need secondary help, and you're going to need a defensive end to get after those quarterbacks. So you might see Denver drop back to where you might have, if New England can't get up to 7 or 8, maybe they'll get up to 9 to take that quarterback that Belichick is striving for. Let him sit behind Cam Newton for 1 year and bring it on in year 2.
All right, I want to read these comments because I want to make sure we get comments. And again, you guys can chime in if you want to. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Travis Bailey of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Ken says Travis. Ken again says give him my takes. All right. Trey Lance, leader of men, period. He's a big-time Trey Lance fan, as many people out there. In fact, I'm surprised because the overall consensus that I'm getting is that Trey Lance is ranked over Justin Fields. And
I just don't understand it, Pete. I don't get that at all. And I've been shaking my head for the last 2 weeks when people are saying that Lance is above, Fields. I just don't understand it. He doesn't have the resume that Fields has. What? Because the guy got hurt on a sketchy hit against Clemson and then came back in and still played well? Come on, guys. I mean, this isn't your prototype. Is he your prototypical Ohio State quarterback, and that's why he's falling down? I just don't get it. I don't understand it one bit. I really don't.
I don't get it either. I tell you,
I don't know how a guy can play one or 2 games last year and be ranked above just because he's got 17 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in a backyard football conference. I just don't understand it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've been wrong before, but not about that collar. That's for damn sure.
Well, I tell you right now, you look at the way Fields played in the national championship game. He played through the rib. To me, he proved himself, and I don't know what more this kid has to do. Look, I don't think he fits with the 49ers. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think the 49ers have a fit. That's not to say that Fields shouldn't be the number, shouldn't be a pick ahead of a Trey Lance. I think people are kind of looking at this and saying, you know what, Lance has more potential overall. But if you have Fields, could Fields be special? Could he be Lamar Jackson where, maybe he falls and then he could go with a team and basically lead them to the playoffs because of his athleticism and because he can make some throws? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm trying to figure it out myself. I didn't get the notice that you were on air. Well, here we are. Atlanta needs to work on that defense. Agree, as they always do.
And that's exactly where Dallas comes into play, Pete. That's exactly where Dallas comes up to the fore and goes after Pitts and then gives them it. They got 2 third-round picks that they can throw into Atlanta, flip-flop, and maybe get an extra 1 next year from Dallas. You could see that happen. You could definitely see it happen. What I'd like to do, Pete, if it's okay with you, I'd love to have you do your Dallas pick at 10. Maybe talk a little bit of hockey real quick and then get off and let your other callers get on the air. I know it's been a while since you've been on. I'd love to just let your other fans or whatever get on and voice their opinion so I'm not taking up all your air here.
Oh, no, you're not taking up all the air here. Let's go out to the Dallas Cowboys, and I believe they go with Patrick Surtain, of course, the second physical corner. Of course, this nonsense about Jerry Jones being in love with Pitts and the organization, to me, that's nonsense. You need a corner, and you look at that overall division. You have a Washington football team, which is starting to try to build an offense. They go after a Curtis Samuel. You have a Terry McLaurin on the other side, so you've got to guard those guys. Philadelphia Eagles, eventually they're going to come and do something. The Giants. So to me, you got to go defense. The defense was god-awful. Dak Prescott doesn't need another offensive weapon. It's time to go Surtain or J.C. Horn, and I think they go Surtain versus with the Alabama Crimson Tide. What do you say?
I think they go J.C. Horn. To be honest with you, Pete, I think they take Horn at 10, and that's Dallas's division to lose. They are head and shoulders the best team in that division on paper, of course. if Prescott doesn't get hurt last year, they win that division going away, and they're going to do it this year. Don't be surprised if Dallas isn't in the NFC Championship game against the Buccaneers.
Wow. I would be surprised. I would definitely be surprised with the Dallas Cowboys and their inability to tackle people and play defense. But we'll see again, Dak Prescott having that new contract. I'm not sure if that's the cure-all. He has to stay healthy, but they have big-time questions, especially defensively.
Well, how about this, Pete? How about they drop down to 15? They flip-flop with New England. Pick up if Denver doesn't take one of the two quarterbacks in Lance or Fields, they flip back to 15. New England moves up. They pick up another pick. Then they can still get Surtain, maybe Horn or Caleb Farley. Then they go after the middle linebacker because they got to pick somebody up for Lee to take Lee's place. Then you're shoring up 2 spots on your defense right there. That helps considerably, and that's only because you're moving back 5 picks or 4 picks at that point.
I'm just
a bad move.
No, not a bad move at all. And you could definitely see that because, once again, the Cowboys have needs on defense. New England's trying to get up into that top 10 to possibly get one of these quarterbacks. So you could absolutely see it. With this draft here coming up on Thursday night in Cleveland, what are you most looking forward to besides the fact of Roger Goodell getting booed and, of course, getting hugged by the players?
I'm just glad to see it back to normal, Pete, some semblance of normalcy. We're seeing it all across the country now, and, you do have something very in common with Ted Nugent, by the way. You both have Rona, so I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. So that's the only thing I think you have in common with Ted Nugent. But anyways, it's just nice to see people back.
I had cat scratch fever, wanting to get back on this show, getting back into this chair. You didn't think I knew that. I did.
That was damn good. I have to tell you, that was damn good. But no, it's just nice to see some semblance of normalcy. I think you got about 5,000 fans at the Lightning games now. I went to the Bulls-Raptors game here in Tampa a couple of weeks ago. That was pretty cool. And I was talking to my Tampa Bay Buccaneers rep over there at Ray J, and he's expecting full capacity. So I don't know if he was just blowing smoke or if he was just saying that, hey, we're going to get full capacity in the fall. So it's a good thing, guys. And having the NFL and the draft back to the way it's been since I can remember, hey, let's get it done. Let's get it on. Let's get it back to pro football in the fall, huh?
Who's the biggest bust in your opinion in this draft? And I know it's hard to see because it usually takes about 2 to 3 years. And I always go back to Vita Vea. The Bucs pick up the 5th-year option. A lot of people thought when that pick happened, he was injured the first year, and then the second year he doesn't necessarily wasn't, shocking people, and he was going to be a bust. Of course, it takes a couple years. In your opinion, is Zach Wilson, could he be the biggest bust from the Jets simply because he's not going to necessarily get the time? Is he going to the right place for him to succeed and be Aaron Rodgers, or could he be the biggest bust in this draft, in your opinion?
I can't see him being the biggest bust, but, the Jets are, once again, a dumpster fire, not to utilize a term that a lot of people use, but, they don't have the offensive weapons. They don't have the O-line, but, it's gonna be a full rebuild for the Jets. They're going to have a top 5 pick probably for the next 3 or 4 years. They have a new general manager. They have a new coach. So things are going to have to, they're going to have to do what's best for that team. And once again, get the quarterback, get into the offensive line in the 2nd and 3rd round, and really start building and start over. My friends are big Jet fans, and they just have their head in the sand and just pissed off and swearing every Sunday because they don't see the improvements that they should over the past few years. And I don't see it with my football team either, Pete. So, I've been pining for my football team to fire the GM and to fire the coach and fire the owner and, just fire the owner. Get rid of the owner. Mark Cuban, buy my football team, please.
What do you see the Bears really quick, and then we'll go into hockey, and you'll have to lead me into hockey because I've been so focused on the Bucs in this draft process. But what are the Bears going to do? To me, they're in a quandary. Andy Dalton is your starter. I'm not sure if you really like that. I mean, do they have the ammunition to get up there and possibly get a Justin Fields? Are they hoping a Justin Fields or Trey Lance falls into their lap? I mean, what did the Chicago Bears do on draft night on Thursday?
I think they draft Christian Darrisaw, offensive lineman, or they go if J.C. Horn drops, or even Caleb Farley, or the kid, the corner from Northwestern. Obviously, when they lost their all-pro starting cornerback, because of salary cap and other foolish mistake by the GM, Ryan Pace. They're going to have to replace him. So I don't know. You got to go offensive line. It's been really bad over the last few years. Do I see them trying to move up? Yes, because they're going to try to save their jobs. Because obviously, if they don't play well this year, and team doesn't play well, they're gone. And I believe they have the third or fourth hardest schedule in football. So I can't really see them doing much. Maybe 4-12, maybe 5-11, and then next year's draft, as far as quarterback is concerned, is supposed to be very, very weak. So basically screwed at the quarterback position again, Pete. So yeah, good times.
I don't understand why they haven't fired a Matt Nagy or a Ryan Pace there, but that's neither here nor there. Want to move on to a sad story there, and for me,
it's horrible.
I was surprised by Steve Mongo McMichael, great Chicago Bear, part of that 85 defense. Not only that, but a guy that started WCW and was actually a wrestler was just diagnosed with ALS. Give me your thoughts on that. I was shocked by that, but it just shows you that, really life is too short sometimes. And a guy that was in the prime of his condition and his life is now battling something that is just unbelievable.
He's a larger than life personality in football and outside of football, Pete. And this was hidden pretty well outside of Chicago for a long time. And anybody that wants to look up Steve Mongo McMichael and look at the character this guy was and what he did in the community in Chicago, it's a damn shame. And Pete, it's just love the ones that you love. Tell them you love them every day, like Chris Thomas used to say at WDAE, and give him a hug, give him a kiss, and hope to see him when you get home. That's the only thing that you can do every day. And not to get Debbie Downer, but you never know. Life is short, life is precious, and the most valuable thing we have is time.
Yeah, I just remember him, starting out WCW Nitro as an announcer, and then being a wrestler and being a part of the Four Horsemen, and even taking on a Goldberg. So it just kind of was sad there. With that being said, let's talk about this Tampa Bay Lightning team. Critical loss the other night versus Carolina. I mean, where do you see this team going forward here?
Well, Pete, we got 8 games left. That's when I say we, I say me, because I love this team. I've been around this team for a long time. I've covered this team for a long time now. And Stammer got hurt again. He got put on long-term injured reserve. He should be back hopefully by the first week of the playoffs, first round of the playoffs. And then you've got the monster, 86, coming back real soon. So we could be possibly fully healthy by, maybe the middle of the first round or hopefully the second round of the playoffs. And, 8 games to go, 6 games that are against lower tier teams in our division. So hopefully we can jump to that one spot, jump above Carolina, jump above Florida, so we don't have to play them in the first round. They short up the defense. Really, it's just going to come together in the playoffs. And whenever you have the best goalie in the business, you never know what's going to happen. And hopefully get a deep run and raise that cup again, Pete, because this team is ready. It's built for another big cup run. And this team, guys, don't want to say it, this team should win another championship, and hopefully this year, because there's going to be a lot of changes due to the salary cap next year. You'll probably see Alex Killorn gone. You'll see Tyler Johnson gone. These big changes. But, Kucherov is skating right now. He's skating with the team, but he's not ready to go because he's on that long-term injury reserve. And if he did come back before the season was over with, it cost him $9.5 million on the salary cap. So this is actually working out. Should work out really well for the Lightning if Kucherov comes back 100%, and if Stammer gets back on the ice at 80%, we should be in good shape.
In your opinion, if they do get Kucherov and Stamkos back, are they the most dangerous team in the National Hockey League?
100%.
Okay.
100%. You got 4 top flight defensemen on that team, Pete. You got Sergachev, you got McDonough. Obviously, you got Victor Hedman, who had a beautiful overtime goal last night, and they got a new guy from Columbus whose name escapes me right now, and I don't know why because I'm an idiot. But
David Savard. David Savard, is it not?
Thank you, and I should know that because Denny Savard from the Hawks is one of my favorite players. And speaking of the Hawks, Andrew Shaw ends up retiring, 2-time champion with the Blackhawks because of why? At 29 years old, concussions, and thankfully he did take the advice of the doctors and decided to retire. But, you know, you got Savard, like you were saying, you got Savard, you got Hedman, you got Kucherov, you got McDonough. I'll take those 4 defensemen against any 4 defensemen in the National Hockey League, hands down. And you look at that line, you look at those lines, Pete, Kucherov, Braden Point, Stamkos, up and down, you know, the third line, you know, with Yanni Gord, and then you got Cirelli, Cirelli, Polak, Killorn, up and down, and then you got your third and fourth liners with Goodrow and Coleman. This team, dollar for dollar, on paper, is the best team in the National Hockey League, hands down, especially with Kucherov and Stamkos.
And that's why I say, when you say, you know, this team is going to go through cap problems and eventually they're going to get rid of some of these players, I just believe they're like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just keep on doing what they're doing, signing their guys. Guys want to be here. They want to be in Tampa Bay. In your opinion, let me lead you off with this, and I'll get you out of here. Thanks a lot for your time. In your opinion, is Andre Vasilevsky the MVP of the league? And why or why not?
I'd have to look at the numbers, but I'd probably say yes, because of the loss of some players this year, especially with Stammer and with Kucherov. You know, Stamkos just went out a couple weeks ago, but, you know, with Kucherov being gone, he has just been a rock. And then when he is replaced by McElhinney, he hasn't really stepped up this year. He's got a couple few wins, but when Vazzy's in there, they can beat anybody on any given night, even when Vazzy's doing a back-to-back. He is obviously, and this isn't just me as a Lightning fan or somebody who covers them, you know, they say it during the games, not only on the local broadcast, but on the national broadcast, that he's the best goalie in the NHL, hands down.
All right, good stuff there. Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Sure, you can catch me in a couple different outlets. You can catch me on Rocket Sports and Entertainment, covering the Lightning, covering some music stuff. You can also catch me on KNAC.com, the loudest.com on the planet.
All right, good stuff there. Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web, the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right, boss?
Hey, I just want to say something real quick, Pete. You know, I know there's been some changes going on with you and your life and with everything, but, you know, the one constant has been you're constant, you know, a professional in everything that you do, and I really respect you, and I thank you for having me on the show and having Rick and Leo and all the guys on the show. Stick to doing what you're doing. It's only going to get better, my friend.
Absolutely. That's what we do here on the Sports Web. I appreciate that, my friend, and we'll see you soon, all right?
Absolutely. Take care, everybody out there. Appreciate you listening to me rant.
Absolutely. I love to hear the rants. I mean, how do you not like to hear the rant? I mean, some people say, well, you like to speculate a lot. That's what we do here. That's sports talk television. That's sports talk radio. That's what you do. You speculate. You rant. You talk about this. You talk about that. I look at my crystal ball. I'm not sure about this mock draft. I'm not. It's all well and fun. You know, people go, hey, you do 100 mock drafts and it doesn't come. Who cares? It's fun. Who doesn't like to talk about their respective teams and get inside their respective general managers' heads or owners' heads, if you will? Being Jerry Jones, which you really don't know what the hell he's thinking with all the rumors coming out about Kyle Pitts. I hope not. If you're a Cowboy fan, I think Pitts is highly talented. That's not where you go. We know where the Bucs are probably going to go, right? They're going to probably do what they always do. Take the best player available. It's going to be late this year, though. 11 o'clock, 11:30. Staying up for it? Who do you want to see the Bucs take? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let me go back out to the comments. Atlanta needs to work on that defense, of course. And that's who they're showing right now. Pitts from Florida. I mean, you look at the guy run the routes. He's beautiful. He's a thing of beauty. He's every defensive coordinator's nightmare. I don't think you can cover this guy one-on-one. You imagine putting him with the Atlanta Falcons? I get it. People say, put him with the Cowboys. I drafted CeeDee Lamb last year. You got Amari Cooper. You got to have defense. You got to stop somebody. Cowboys couldn't stop a cold. I'm not going to say COVID. I'm not saying it. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Let me go out to Brandon. What's going on, Peter? Good seeing you back. Good seeing you. Steven says we're doing this mock draft like last year. Well, we did. We did a little bit last year, didn't we? In case you didn't catch it, I'll go ahead and go through the mock draft again. And you can tell me what you think. You can mock me on it. Jacksonville goes with Trevor Lawrence. Generational talent, to me, it's a foregone conclusion. You don't get an Urban Meyer and not get a Trevor Lawrence. So to me, Trevor Lawrence and all that nonsense of, he's the same quarterback he was. No, he's not. He's gotten better every year. Completion percentage, which is important in the National Football League. That's why the Denver Broncos have the problems they have right now with the Drew Lock. Because he's not a 60% completion percentage passer. And if you're not that, you're not an NFL quarterback. I'm sorry, you're not. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate over to the NFL, but he's probably the greatest prospect since Andrew Luck. Right? So you go with that. I'll go with that at number 1. Number 2, New York Jets take Zach Wilson. Again, 33 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. People compare him to Aaron Rodgers, but you're going into that situation with the Jets, with the new coach, Corey Davis from Tennessee. He's good. Can he stay healthy consistently? Maybe you go out and get a running back with that second first-round pick. Najee Harris, anybody? Travis Etienne out of Clemson. You can definitely start, but it's going to be rough sailing for that kid. It is. Because he doesn't have enough around him. You got to build an offensive lineman, and in a perfect world, if you didn't get rid of a Sam Darnold, which you already traded him, you're not drafting a quarterback. You're trying to build the offensive line, but we're talking about the New York Jets just in the season. Number 3, San Francisco goes with Mac Jones. I made no mistake about this, guys. The rumors have been out there for 2 months. I believe them. He's the prototypical Kyle Shanahan quarterback. Nothing special athletically. Makes smart decisions. Good touch on the ball from 20 yards. People say, well, he's boring. Well, so is Tom Brady. So is Matt Ryan to a certain degree. So is Kirk Cousins, and those guys are getting paid and winning games. And consequently, 2 of those quarterbacks I mentioned were in the Shanahan system. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 77% completion percentage. Book it. Jones to San Francisco at 3. Number 4, I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts to Atlanta. Even though I keep on going back and forth. For me, I don't think you can. They probably want a quarterback. They probably want to talk about a quarterback, but because of that albatross of a contract with Matt Ryan, you're going to have to keep him the next couple years. You've got a new coach. Why complicate things? And then on top of it, it goes back to what Colin Cowherd said on Fox Sports Radio. You get a guy like a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields. You put him in that building. You see what fantastic things you're doing, and then you start to get those murmurs. And you start to get fans talking and screaming. And then the next thing you know, the backup quarterback is the most popular position in the National Football League. So I think they avoid that. They go with the best player in the draft. Kyle Pitts is one of the best players in the draft, if not the best, in my opinion. Number 5, you go with the Cincinnati Bengals, Penei Sewell. I mean, it's pretty easy, guys. Joe Burrow gets hurt during the season. He's your quarterback. He's your franchise guy. You get an offensive tackle. You get the best left tackle out of Oregon. You go with Sewell. All this talk about them going with Pitts or Chase is nonsense. It's nonsense. That's all it is. It's smoke. It's what we call speculation, but it's at the most beautiful kind during the draft process. Smoke. So they go with Sewell there. 6, Miami Dolphins. They go with Jamar Chase. You get another weapon for Tua. You've got to get this kid weapons. They get a guy like Will Fuller. He's not able to stay healthy, but he's still a burner. If he can stay healthy, he's been highly productive. You get Chase, just 2 years removed, 84 catches, 1780, 20 touchdowns. Special skill set. This is where I think the draft gets a little hokey. The Lions trade out with the New England Patriots. Patriots trade up for Justin Fields from Ohio State. Why not? I mean, if you're Bill Belichick, why would you not consider going after a quarterback when you have the likes of a Cam Newton? He's not your future. And I get it. That was never a problem with the Patriots because he never had the opportunity to draft a quarterback. You haven't drafted a quarterback in first round since when? If you're a Patriots fan, Drew Bledsoe. That's the last time. I think that was 94. So the Patriots get the opportunity there. They trade up with the Lions. They trade up for Justin Fields. Number 8, Carolina goes with Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle from Northwestern, to protect Sam Darnold, going back to let's protect our quarterback like the Bengals. Number 9, you have the Denver Broncos. They go with Trey Lance. All you hear about is potential. Guy can make any throw out there, period. So you go with him. They don't have an answer. Drew Lock is not the quarterback. You look at the division as an overall. Exciting things, of course, with Patrick Mahomes. You know, MVP, Derek Carr getting it done for the Raiders. You have Justin Herbert, his development with the Chargers. Broncos want to get in on the action. They go with the Trey Lance. And number 10, the Dallas Cowboys take Patrick Surtain II. So that's my mock. What do you think? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Like I said, some Bucs news we may have missed or we let off with, but really didn't get a chance to get into. The Bucs did pick up the 5th-year option for Vita Vea. I mean, how many people thought when he was drafted in 2018 that he was a bust? I mean, that is what you're going to have to avoid. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just saying, give it an opportunity, see what happens. At least give it 2 to 3 years. And here you go. You got a kid like Avea who, you know, comes into the league, is hurt, not necessarily the most effective, gets his feet under him, even gets hurt last year. But boy, oh boy, you saw the impact, right? I mean, Jason Light knocked that out of the park. He knocked out of the park. So 34 games. Vea's totaled 73 tackles, 7.5 sacks. He's going to make around 7.6, of course, fully guaranteed. 5th consecutive year for the Bucs. Check this out. They've exercised the 5th-year option on Mike Evans, Jameis Winston, Vernon Hargreaves, O.J. Howard, coming before Vea. So there you go. So what are your thoughts on that? Let me go out. I think it would be better for us to trade out of the first round to get more picks next year since the draft isn't that strong. Well, I mean, I think it's a crapshoot. It's more of a crapshoot than it's ever been before, right? Because there have been so many opt-outs by players, right? And I didn't even give the Bucs pick. I'm going to go with Joe Tryon from Washington. And to me, the reason why you go with the Tryon is because you may get a player that opted out last year, you know, but is highly productive a couple years ago and can fill that position. 6'5", 239. Coming off the edge, right? I mean, you can never have, you know, too many outside rushers, edge rushers. You can never go wrong with that. It's like offensive lineman. Never go wrong with offensive lineman. Landon Dickinson has been talked about for Alabama. You know, possibly taking over for a Ryan Jensen. That's certainly a possibility. There's people out there that like a Najee Harris. I don't see it happening with the signing that the Bucs made that I missed, which I'll get into, Giovanni Bernard. I like this signing. I like it a lot. You know, do I think that he's going to replace a Ronald Jones or a Leonard Fournette or even a Keyshawn Vaughn? No, I don't. But what I do think is that he absolutely, you know, gives the Bucs another weapon. And from what you hear, and this was a couple weeks ago, and again, you know, it's stuff that I missed. There was a high recruiting process by Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. Why? Because here's a guy that can catch the ball consistently. Here's a guy that can give you what Ronald Jones hasn't been able to. The victim of volume. Now, that's not to say that Ronald Jones, in my opinion, is on the trade block. I don't think that is true. I don't. I think he's still in fact, I think he's still the best running back on this team. Even with the playoff Lenny or Lombardi Lenny, whatever he's calling himself. So I like Giovanni Bernard in a Bucs uniform. I think it gives them another weapon. Just another one. And of course, we talked about Steve McClendon re-signing with the Bucs, Ross Cockrell. All eyes are on Antonio Brown. Are they going to get that signed? Or are the Bucs going to draft a Kadarius Toney with the Florida Gators or Elijah Moore? Or players like that? Because there's plenty of wide receivers. Even DeAndre Smith, a lot of people saying this guy could slide. Why? Because he's only 166 pounds. I mean, you got to make it work, but we know his talent at Alabama. Heisman Trophy winner. Smallish guy. Could you imagine him in this Bucs offense? I'm just saying. It's not out of the realm of possibility for the Bucs to go in that situation. Because we've heard it. They could go with a wide receiver. And then if they go with a wide receiver, then they moved on from Brown. You could go with a running back because you make the case of, Leonard Fournette's only under a 1-year deal. Ronald Jones is only under a 1-year deal. You're not sure about Keyshawn Vaughn. You have a 1-year deal with the Bernard. Would you hate them going with the Travis Etienne from Clemson? I wouldn't. I think that you could go in a different situation. I'd rather draft an offensive tackle like a Dickerson from Alabama, or going with a Barmore from Alabama, or going with a Tryon, or going with one of these young kids that may drop. Jalen Phillips out of Miami. People are saying, where is he going to go? Could that be on the Bucs radar? You don't know. Why? Well, first, the draft is a crapshoot. You didn't have a combine this year, and you have injury history. Kid's been productive, but he's also had an injury history. He's had concussion problems. So do they go in that direction? Did they go with the Gregory Rousseau? Who opted out? Who didn't play this year? I mean, that's the interesting thing about this draft this year that has never been put forth. You've got opt-outs. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. So who would you like to see them draft? Who would you like to see the Bucs draft? Who would you like to see your favorite team draft? What are you looking most forward to this event on Thursday night in Cleveland? You want to give me some draft stories? Because, just thinking about this and having that downtime, and if you don't know, I was gone for about 2 or 3 weeks, not by choice, but because of being sick. But you had that downtime to, really watch some stuff, and you're watching, NFL Network yesterday. And I'm watching the Caught in the Draft, and it's from 95. And who does not remember 1995 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Classic draft, right? Classic. Can you tell me what happened during that draft? I can. I could still remember it to this day. It's the Mike Mamula one. Remember? Mike Mamula out of Boston College. Why is that synonymous with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Let me tell you why. Because he has a strong combine. People start to freak out. Bucs trade down. And then you get a chance to get Warren Sapp. And of course, that's all pivoted off the New York Jets taking a Kyle Brady at number 9 over the best defensive player in the draft period in Sapp. Why? Overthinking it. Could that happen on Thursday night? It's certainly a possibility, isn't it? You overthink it, right? You fall in love with those measurables. The 40 time. You didn't have that this year, but still you're falling in love with that speed and all that other stuff instead of what's, presented there on the film. And then on top of it, you have the accusations that work to the Bucs' advantage. And they're just chopping at the bit there. And the Minnesota Vikings with Tony Dungy and Dennis Green are the team that's in the way of the Bucs. And then boom, there's Warren Sapp. And then going back to this, I thought it was interesting because it's always great to see, different perspectives and to look at time. And you have Tony Dungy and he goes, we never looked at him because we thought he was going to be a top 5 selection. We never thought in a million years. And that's the expansion draft with the Panthers and the Jaguars. And the Jaguars taking Baselli. And the Panthers trading out to the Cincinnati Bengals. And, of course, Cincinnati trading up for a Kenyatta Carter, who was a bust because of an injury. Unfair, but it is true. He was. But going back to it, you look at how that draft basically set the foundation for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Right? I mean, and then they come back and they trade with the Dallas Cowboys, who, by the way, thanks a lot to the Dallas Cowboys, and they get a Derek Brooks. You get a Sapp and a Brooks. You think the Bucs are going to get that in 3 days? Most likely not, but that's what you kind of aim for, right? That's the foundation of the draft. So I thought that was interesting in itself. And then another thing that was interesting that was on there that you come to find out with Trent Dilfer getting drafted, of course, by the Bucs. But that's the whole, 94 situation? Remember? 94? With Mel Kiper going after Bill Tobin and Bill Tobin saying, Kiper has got no credentials. And I love Mel Kiper. I think Mel Kiper is the reason why we do this type of show. This is the reason why I do this type of show. Like, I started, talking about the draft when I was 14, 15 years old. True story. Lost my Mel Kiper draft report, subscribed to it, called him, got an autograph, don't know where it's at, got a chance to talk to the guy on the phone. The reason why people care about the draft in 3 days in Cleveland is because of a Kiper. I get it. McShay right now, he's doing his thing. Kiper and McShay, both of those guys going back and forth is unbelievable. But Kiper made the draft to what it is to this day. And it was that incident in itself. And what you come to find out with the Dilfer is that his agent actually told the Colts not to draft me. So it kind of changes things a little bit, doesn't it? Just a little bit. Because Dilfer was threatening expansion. He was going to go to expansion the next year, of course, 95. It's just kind of interesting to look back at it. You think you know, but you really don't know. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Yes, sir, says Sitton. Sitton says, go Bucks. David says, welcome back, Peter Blake. Thank you. Christopher Cole, I would like to see the wide receiver out of Purdue. The smallest wide receiver in the draft, I think. And I believe that kid's name is Moore. And he's fast. He's definitely fast. He's definitely a guy that, look, if the Bucs draft him, you would necessarily think it's curtains for an Antonio Brown, in my opinion. I would think that. So it's certainly a possibility. Bucs take, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's go out to David here. That was the first time I can remember the Bucs trading down to actually get the best player and then actually get double nickel later on the first time. I can remember being happy about our draft selections. I mean, was there a better draft in Buccaneer history besides getting the likes of a Hall of Famer and a Warren Sapp and a Derek Brooks and to see how that all played out? I don't see it. So, going back to the Bernard stuff, I love it. I'm not about to sit here and say he is the end all be all, but I will say that he gives Tom Brady another option there to throw to. And I'd love to see that. Let me go ahead and some other stuff we missed out on. And this comes from Levante David talking about Jameis Winston and the famous Eat a W pregame speech. In fact, he says, I was in the heart of it. Again, he told the undefeated.com, my boy Jameis, he's very, very energetic, animated guy. That was just something that he thought off the top of his head. And he came out with it and it was weird, man. It was weird. Honestly, he knows it was weird. Everybody wasn't really thrilled with it for a hype speech. But unfortunately, that's going to follow my guy Jameis for his whole career. And of course, the Bucs went on to lose to the Saints 30-10. David goes on to say he meant well by it, but the particular thing didn't go over well with the rest of the team and the outcome of that game. kind of proved it. It definitely was something that kind of caught me off guard. I was kind of like, what? It is what it is, though. We all love Jameis. He meant well. He's a great competitor, but unfortunately, that's going to follow him for a long time. And all eyes will be on the Saints this year to see if he will be the eventual starter for the Saints. Another trade that was made in the NFL, we'll get to this, and then we'll probably get off for the night here. Thanks a lot for tuning into the evolution of Sports Talk Television. We'll do this again. I promise you. Just keep on tuning in here live on my Facebook page, on YouTube, and, of course, on Twitter. We'll go from there. There was a big trade made yesterday in the National Football League, of course, by the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs got Orlando Brown Jr. to play left tackle. So that's what a team does. We talked about it in the whole draft process. You get a offensive tackle to protect your quarterback. We saw Patrick Mahomes and how much he was under duress versus this Bucs defense. They get rid of a Fisher. You get rid of Schwartz on the right side, and you bring in an Orlando Brown Jr. Baltimore will get the Chiefs' first, third, and fourth round picks this year in a 2022 fifth rounder, while sending their 2021 second round pick and a 2022 sixth rounder to Kansas City. They now have the 27th and 31st picks of the draft, and the Chiefs will pick 58th and 63rd next week. So automatic upgrade by Kansas City and Mahomes to get a junior. Orlando Brown Jr., of course, or his father, played for the Ravens, I believe, also as a left tackle. So they get an upgrade there. And we'll see how that works out. But now the Ravens have 27 and 31. So are they going to draft an offensive tackle, or are they going to try to make some noise? We'll see here on Thursday night. Going back to the 49ers, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, he's talking about the 49ers and what they're going to do at 3. I already got a bet on this. I've got a steak dinner. In fact, I'm going to bet Vegas because of all the lost funds that I had missing work. I'm going to Vegas on this. But this is what Jeremy Fowler says in conjunction with the 49ers and their third overall pick. I'm told the work is done in Santa Clara. They have wrapped up their draft meetings officially. They're ready to make this pick, but it's in the hands of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. They're probably not telling anybody. Nobody in that building knows and doesn't expect until Thursday. But the coaches broke down Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance this week together in a neutral process. And I'm told they kept an open mind with Justin Fields and Trey Lance, winning them over. They've had a good process, but there's still a decent amount of buzz league-wide about Mac Jones. So, to me, book it. Mac Jones is going to be a San Francisco 49er on Thursday, and you can go back and tell me that I was right. Let's go out to Pro Football Talk. Zach Taylor, the coach of the Bengals, and what he had to say about Jamar Chase, which, again, I don't believe half of the stuff that's put out there. I think it's so interesting because this whole draft process, it's all about smoke and mirrors and doing this and doing that. I love to see some of these stories that are put out there by guys and coaches and general managers. But this is what he had to say about Jamar Chase. He says during the pre-draft process on Monday, he called Chase a tremendous player who put himself in position to be a high pick. He also says there's a factor because he has chemistry with a Joe Burrow. It's one of the things that you weigh, and certainly we take in a lot of factors, the production on the field, their character, their football IQ, just what they bring to our locker room, to our team as a whole. Relationship with the quarterback, that certainly doesn't hurt, but that's one of the many things that we weigh. Well, I tell you what, Bengals, I tell you what doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt protecting your quarterback. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You got to protect your quarterback. You do. You got to get it done. More buzz around the Cowboys here. According to various sources, Albert Breer of SI, he's heard Dallas is more connected to Alabama's Patrick Surtain II, which I've kind of talked about all night long, who would be a middle of the fairway pick and an ideal fit for Dan Quinn's new defense. Of course, Dan Quinn running that new defense now. Go back to Dan Quinn, apply what you know. Quinn being a defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, Legion of Boom. I want to get a physical corner in the mold of a Richard Sherman. I'm going to take a Surtain second. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not saying that J.C. Horn wouldn't be a good pick out of South Carolina. Of course, his father playing in the NFL also being Joe Horn, which I know many Bucs fans are familiar with. But I go with Surtain the second. And then McShay has this. The strongest information I've heard is that Alabama quarterback Patrick Surtain will be the pick at number 10. He gives Dallas a shutdown press corner. If Surtain is already off the board, a move back could be in play per a different source. The Cowboys could slide back 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 spots and still end up with either South Carolina's J.C. Horn or Virginia Tech's Caleb Fairley as their quarterback of choice and some additional picks. Why take the chance? I mean, honestly, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, we talked about it, their inability to tackle people, the inability to stop people, that tough division, especially the Washington football team with those wide receivers on the outside and a McLaren and a Curtis Samuel. I'm going to go with Surtain and not take any chances about trading down out of that. We talked about the Steve Mongo McMichael story, so we'll get off of that. And then the Bengals talked about today. We feel like we're going to get a premier player that can come in and really help us win immediately. You hope. I mean, you definitely hope so. And then, of course, we talked about Julio Jones today. Ian Rappaport of NFL Media and once again, Albert Breer of SI.com have reported that Julio Jones could be on the trade block. Of course, he can't be traded until June 1st. All this talk with the Falcons listening to deals would free up 15.3. And again, it's talked about that a second-round pick, and this is from Peter King of Pro Football Talk and SI, says that a second-round pick would be fair. So Julio Jones for a second-round pick, I guess it's certainly possible. So with that being said, I tell you what, let's go out to a quick video here. And in case you didn't hear, Rob Gronkowski got into the Guinness Book of World Records catching a pass, but it wasn't just any pass. Go ahead and check this out here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, and we'll come back and wrap up the Sports Web. Here we go.
We got one of our top alumni, okay, that's ever played here. We've already introduced Coach Brewski to the group. Get it up for Coach Brewski! And now we got 4-time Super Bowl winner, 5-time Pro Bowl. Rob Gronkowski! What up, Coach? Hey, listen up now. He's not just in pads for no reason. He's in pads because we're going to have one more final catch here at Arizona Stadium. What we're going to do is we're going to make it a Guinness Book of World Record catch. We're going to have the highest altitude catch that's ever been done in the world. 600 feet in the air. We're going to have a helicopter drop a ball straight down, and we're going to set a Guinness Book of World Record right here in front of all of you guys.
Go, baby. Let's go.
Oh!
Oh, man. You guys think I got this? I'm ready.
If you want to give it a shot, we're at 640 feet, actually. All right, I'm ready. There we go. All right, let it rip. There you go. Now look at that thing spin. Perfect. Get right under it. Ready? Go ahead, drop it. Put it down.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, right through his fingertips. Let's go, Robbie. World record.
You step on the field, you gotta raise that bar to another level, baby. And I just raised that bar to this level. Yeah. Bear down, baby. Bear down round 3. 1, 2, 3. Bear down. Bear down.
All right, welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. I wanted to end off with this, but definitely we're going to have to end off with this. Some sad news tonight. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneer Geno Hayes has passed away. The former linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course, drafted out of Florida State, took over for a Derek Brooks. Of course, was in hospice care, dealing with liver disease, has passed away. The reason why I bring this up is because actually one of the first starts I had in my radio career, and this is a true story, was with a show called The Sports Mob. Yours truly, along with a gentleman by the name of Sam the Godfather and Jenna Lane. And I actually met Sean the Sports Don through this. Got a chance to meet Mr. Hayes, of course, following his career throughout Florida State. Very nice man from what I knew. And it was just, it was an unbelievable time to get the opportunity to not only talk to him and converse with him, but, you know, do a show and, of course, start out my radio career. So very sad news tonight coming in that Geno Hayes, former Tampa Bay linebacker, has passed away. So 33 years old. So prayers to him and his family. And of course, whoever's watching this, of course, I know the Buccaneer family out there has some great memories of Geno. Again, he has passed on. So with that being said, go ahead and we'll just wrap this show up. Thanks a lot to all the callers and, of course, all the guests, namely Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. And I'll join you here. I think I'll be back on Thursday night when the Bucs make a pick. Just keep on tuning in to the evolution of Sports Talk Television live here on my page, of course, on YouTube and Twitter, and do 3 things for me on this Monday night. Would you? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a great night. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers have re-signed Mr. Lombardi Leonard Fournette to a 1-year deal, $3.25 million. He can get up to $4 million with incentives. So, Bucs fans, what do you think? The Bucs are making history with this signing, of course. In fact, according to Andrew Hallman, the Buccaneers are set to return all 22 starters from the 2020 Super Bowl season. Last time somebody did that from week one starters, 1979 Steelers. I was 1. I'm not joking. We're talking about history here. I definitely want to hear from you guys tonight. And then the last team to return the Super Bowl starters was the 1977 Raiders. Of course, they make it all the way to the AFC title game. So what do you think, Bucs fans? I mean, what a week, right? Donovan Smith re-signed, although there's a lot of fans out there right now that are doing this. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Or this right here. They're doing this right here. Because how many fans would get on this show last year and throughout the year and say that Smith is a bum? that he's no good. And yet the Bucs front office has basically told you in so many words, that's not true. They re-signed him. They free up money. And then on top of it, you re-sign Ndamukong Suh. And then the little cherry on top of that sweet little cake that Jason Light and Mike Greenberg are making right now for all you Bucs fans, you get Lombardi Lenny, playoff Lenny, whatever you want to call him. So what do you guys think? Because here's my thoughts. From the ownership down, the Glazers have set this up. They have set it all up for a repeat. You cannot deny it. It starts from the top. It's the Glazers. And then it's Mike Greenberg and Jason Light. How many fans did we have come on this show? All shows across Bucs Report. No way they could do it. I mean, Bucs fans, you're kind of used to this by now, right? I mean, the sky is falling last year. And then this year, you're going to the offseason. And you resign all your players besides Antonio Brown or Larry Fitzgerald, because that's been the big talk. So we'll definitely get into that. But going back to it, Mike Greenberg, Jason Light, getting everybody taken care of, players coming back. I mean, who's beating this team in 2021? I mean, honestly, who's beating them? The Saints? Really? The Panthers? The Falcons? You want to go outside the division? We'll play some games. Seattle, with their quarterback situation, what's going on there right now? San Francisco treat. Maybe not with Jimmy Garoppolo. The LA Rams, the Green Bay Packers. What do all those teams have not in common with the Bucs? Consistency. Absolute consistency. They have signed every player that you fans were scared they were going to lose. They have done everything perfectly to set themselves up for a Super Bowl repeat. And you know what show this is. This is the flagship. This is the show from the very beginning of last March that told you when Brady and Gronk and Fournette signed, it was Super Bowl or bust. Why would I change my prediction now? With the draft added, with the offseason that you're going to get the reps, with the preseason, you didn't have none of that last year. You have it all this year. So let me get this straight. You think this team is going to be worse? Where? Super Bowl or bust. In fact, I don't care who they play in Super Bowl 56. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win the Super Bowl. And you know why? Because they set themselves up. From the Glazers, from Mike Greenberg, to Jason Light, to Tom Brady, to Chris Godwin, to Levante David, to Shaq Barrett, to Ndamukong Suh, to Leonard Fournette, to Donovan Smith. Hell, they may sign Antonio Brown and Larry Fitzgerald. You want to talk about a super team in the NBA? This is the super team in the NFL.
We got one of our top alumni, okay, that's ever played here. We've already introduced Coach Brewski to the group. Get it up for Coach Brewski. And now we got 4-time Super Bowl winner, 5-time Pro Bowl, Ron Gronkowski. What up, Coach? Hey, listen up now. He's not just in pads for no reason. He's in pads because we're going to have one more final catch here at Arizona Stadium. What we're going to do is we're going to make it a Guinness Book of World Record catch. We're going to have the highest altitude catch that's ever been done in the world. 600 feet in the air. We're going to have a helicopter drop a ball straight down, and we're going to set a Guinness Book of World Record right here in front of all of you guys.
Go, baby. Let's go.
Oh!
Oh, man.
You guys think I got this? I'm ready.
If you want to give it a shot, we're at 640 feet, actually. All right, I'm ready. There we go. All right, let it rip. There you go. Now look at that thing spin. Perfect. Get right under it. Down it. Oh, it's gone. Ready? Go ahead, drop it. Bear down.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, dude. Oh, right through his fingertips. Let's go, Robbie. World record.
Every time you step on the field, you gotta raise that bar to another level, baby. And I just raised that bar to this level.